Hello, welcome to another episode where I take a car and take a quick look at it. And today we have the Škoda Karoq, and apparently that's the way the Czechs say it, Škoda, not Skoda. So this car's been around since 2017. It's the first generation. It's shared with, let me just check my thing, the Seat Ateca, the VW Taos, and the VW T-Roc. And of course those cars are basically the same as this car. It's a small, compact SUV or compact crossover or whatever you want to call them. And it's been made all over the world. This is a car that Škoda, of course, is a ostensively Czech company, not Czechoslovakian, Czech company. But this car was made in Germany between 2018 and 2019. Such was the demand for the car. It was a very popular car to start off. Maybe it's tailed off a little bit now, but certainly a very popular car. People like crossovers and SUVs, and that's the car that people are buying now. This isn't the car that I would have chosen as a car to rent. This is a rental from Europe Car. But I asked for some like Ford Focus size car, and they gave me this, which is fine. It was good for what we needed. We needed to have a lot of space for a lot of bags, so it worked very well for that. The car, I'm not sure what the engine is on this car. The car has anything between a 1.2 litre and 2 litre engines. There's petrol and diesel options, you know, the normal sort of thing. So when I was originally looking to do a video about this car, I thought, well, there's not really much to say because it all sort of works. It works pretty well. It does everything you want it to do. It does it in a logical manner. There's nothing crazy or whatever. But as I started driving it, there were a few odd things which I certainly should talk about. So let's get inside the car where it's less cold. It's freezing out here, and we'll talk a bit more about that. So the first issue I found was we have this key fob here, and you can also use it to unlock the car, but it has the feature that if you walk up to the car, then you can open the car without even touching the key fob, because it knows that it's close, which is nice. But I notice it doesn't work on the back doors. So the back doors, it does work on the boot, it doesn't work on the back doors. So I'm not quite sure why. So then you have to use the key fob and open it up so that you can do the back doors, which again, it's a niggle, but why did you do that? Why don't you just open it for all the doors? A lot of these things are niggles. Another thing is the sun visor, which I'm left-handed and I'm not quite sure what's going on here, but I'm always trying to open it with my right hand because I'm holding the steering wheel with my left hand, and there's an indent on the left-hand side, but there isn't an indent on the right-hand side. And it would have been nice, I'm not sure if this is a left-handed or right-hand thing, but I'm always trying to use my right hand and I'm always getting it wrong. So again, a little thing, but it would have been nice if you had indents on both sides. That would have been useful. Well, that was slightly frustrating. I got back and realised I recorded all the stuff about the interior, and because I was using AirPods, when it connected with CarPlay, it defaulted to the car's audio, so there was no microphone, there was only the output from the speakers, so I lost all the footage of me talking. So now I have a different setup where I have my regular lavalier mic and my camera, and I'm going to do it this way. Anyway, where were we? So my feeling about this car is, why would you get a premium car? This car, the Škoda, has pretty much all the features you want. It's a very well featured car. It's got heated seats, climate control, it's got doesn't have memory seats, but it has a lot of features to this car. It has a little wireless charging bay with wireless CarPlay, which works really well. It's such a nice feature. So I think we're getting to the point, particularly the comments I get in videos now. People say, don't get an Audi, the quality is terrible, and don't get a Mercedes, don't get a BMW, the quality is terrible now, it's really gone downhill. Why wouldn't you just buy a car with a different brand name, like a Škoda, that has just as good a quality, maybe not that great, maybe a little bit bad, but at least it's a cheaper car because it's maybe has what what's perceived is a lower quality name. If you notice, there is a thing up there showing the current speed of the road that you're on. Right now it's 30. I'm in a car park. But the problem, one of the big problems this car has, is if you go to assist, let's go back to navigation. If I go into, press the top button, you can see the assist systems. One of them is speed warning. Now, what happens is if you go over 30 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone, then it will bing to beep to warn you that you're going over that speed. Which, you know, fair enough. Some people might like that. I don't, because it does it all the time. Not that I speed. I mean, I might be going 32 in a 30, but you know, this isn't the end of the world. But it's also that the car also has a speed detection system where it looks on the road and tries to find out what the speed of the current road is. I had a situation where I was going in a 50 zone along a dual carriageway, and it detected a 30 zone on an off-ramp because it happened to have a prominent 30 sign. So it says, oh, it's 30 miles an hour in this area now. So it got it wrong, and then it started beeping. And so it's all these false positives which aren't particularly useful. So of course I want to turn it off. So you can turn it off, that's fine. When you turn the car off and you turn the car on again, it defaults to being on. You can't permanently turn it off. And there are a lot of options in here. If you go into here, there's lots of things. There's settings you can look at, but I can't see a way of turning it off. I can't find any way of doing it. It might be because this is Europe car and they've made it so they've defaulted it to on all the time, that it will be on and you can't turn it off. But I'm not sure if you can't turn that off permanently, that would be a deal breaker for me. It's a very annoying feature. If you notice, there's also lane assist. If you watch my video about the Kia Picanto, you notice I was complaining a bit about the lane assist system because it kept telling you were going out a lane when you were changing between lanes. It wasn't that helpful, and it was the sort of thing that you wanted to turn off. This one is pretty good. It won't bug you too much if you are going between lanes. It will bug you if you start drifting out of a lane because you're doing something wrong. You know, you're falling asleep or things like that. So it's doing the right thing. You can actually use it to do some limited form of self-driving, because you can actually just let go of the steering wheel and it will keep the vehicle in lane for you. But after 20 seconds or so, it'll say you should be driving, which is true. You should be driving, because this is not a self-driving system and it's not designed for that. So it's a very good system. Lane assist works very well on this car. We've got a manual gear stick here. That's another feature about this car. I don't know why cars nowadays have manual gearboxes when they have all these features. We have CarPlay and we have climate control and heated seats and all these different things. I don't understand why people are still getting manual gearboxes. I would personally trade an automatic gearbox and put an automatic gearbox in and not have some of these features, because stop-go traffic, it's very frustrating. Now, if I'm going to buy an MX-5, yes, I'm going to buy a manual gearbox, and I'm going to prefer a manual gearbox. But in a car like this, a crossover, you're not going to be very sporty in this car. So again, I don't really know why people wouldn't pick an automatic gearbox. But anyway, this is what it has, and I'm perfectly competent at using it, except when I stall. The specific problem I'm having is when let's say you're in fourth gear and you're coming to a stop sign. So the first thing you do is you put it into neutral and then you go into first gear, which is pretty normal. Then you can get ready to start off when you're going past that stop sign. The problem is that going from fourth to first, it's very easy if you're applying pressure this way, not to get first, but to get reversed by accident, because you're applying pressure that way and you have to push the car in, have to push the gear stick in to be able to do that. So this is not a problem which you would get if you were driving on the right hand side of the road, because here your hand is applying pressure in this direction, not this direction. Again, this is a problem that was found for people driving on the left, and I'm sure the people who developed the car who were driving on the right didn't think of this problem, but it is a bit of an issue and something you have to think about as a person driving on the left hand side of the road. Another small issue I had, most of these things are small issues, is that for Apple CarPlay you can say the wake up word, which is fine, but normally there's a little button that allows you to control it. Well, this button here only does the Škoda voice activation. It doesn't do the one for the Apple CarPlay and probably Android Auto as well. So that's a little frustrating, but not the end of the world. One nice thing, of course, is when you turn the car off, it says goodbye, have you got everything, mobile phone. That's a nice little feature, particularly if you are not using the car very often, if you've just got to use it, but I'm sure that's something you would completely ignore over time. So finally, there's an interesting message that pops up when you first turn the car on that seems to imply that the car's being tracked. I presume that's a Europe car thing. There's no way I can find to turn that off. I presume there's some way that you can change it in maybe Europe car system, that apparently they're tracking the car. I don't mind them tracking the car. It's their car, it's not my car, and I don't really care if they know where my location is. It's just an interesting thing that it says, oh, you can turn this thing off where we don't track your car, but there's no way of doing it in this system. As the wheelchair test seems to be a thing I'm doing with cars on this channel, I can tell you that without the seats folded down, a wheelchair will fit in, but you have to fold the handles on the wheelchair to make it work, which isn't a terrible thing. And of course you could just fold the back seats down, but because it's such a big car, it's possible to be able to fit it in without that. As this is a compact SUV or compact crossover, there's plenty of room in this car. We've certainly had no problems. There's loads of room in the front seat. Again, loads of room in the back seats. We haven't used the back seats, but there's loads of room there. And of course in the boot, get it open, plenty of room, got all my stuff in there. It's not motorized. Oh no, I have to actually reach up with my hand and close it manually. It's so hard. So that's a quick introduction to the Škoda Karoq. It's a nice enough car, it's a compact crossover, it's a compact SUV, whatever it is, and it works just fine for that. It's not the sort of car I would buy, but for a car where I needed to move a whole lot of things around, it was just fine. And if you don't want a car that can zip around on fast A roads, then again, it's fine. But not the car for me. It's, again, a great car, just not the car for me. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. That's the sound of the future if you're buying cars in Europe. A bing if you go slightly over the speed limit.